They originally came from another country, inhabited by very wicked people, and had traversed the Great Lake, which was in one place narrow and shallow, and full of islands, where they had suffered great misery. And a further tradition has it that 9 parts of their nation out of 10 passed over the river. The Mexicans affirm the 7 tribes or houses passed from the east to the wilderness.
Welcome to World Events in the Bible. I'm Brandon T. Ward. We're outside Los Lunas, New Mexico at Hidden Mountain, and we're looking at the mystery stone here, the Decalogue, which is the 10 Commandments. Some of the locals call this 10 Commandment Rock. And the whole idea behind this stone here is, first, it's in Paleo-Hebrew, and it's basically like a version of the 10 Commandments. It's estimated to be between 2,000 to 3,000 years. Some people say that that's not true. Obviously, if this was true and written by Hebrews, it came to North America, in ancient history, it would rewrite our history, so it's obviously not commonly accepted. But there is a lot of it's very interesting, you know, it's very interesting. Paleo-Hebrew writing, the last it was really used was in 600 BC, so we're talking about, 2,500 years ago roughly, in that time frame to be general. And that's what this is. It is 80 tons, this stone here is 80 tons, and you can tell it's actually tipped over. Obviously the writing is at a 45-degree angle we got here, and I'll show you some other pictures in here and maybe some video clips where you can actually see a bigger version of the entire boulder structure, and you can see over time it did tip over. So when did that happen is kind of the question. The area is a little bit of a volcanic type of area. There's a lot of burning on the rocks on top. Let's see here. I just had some notes I just kind of want to go over, just kind of a brief video for you. This has been known since the 1850s by the Indians, apparently, according to the locals. In 1880, a gentleman was brought here by an Indian guide he had, and that's when he was shown it and started to see it. You got to remember, back in those days, Paleo-Hebrew, barely anybody even knew it. There was no really scholars of it. If you read any historical records of how we got the Bible and everything like that, you'll kind of understand that in the 1800s, they were having a really hard time trying to decipher some of the records of ancient writings like these. In the 1950s, it was the Boy Scouts came up here and actually kind of bleached or blanched the stone and wire brushed it, and that's why it's so clean today. If you can make out in the video up on top here, it's a little black, kind of what I was getting at earlier. There's a lot of patina on the rock. You got some moss going on here, so that's all been stripped from the face of the rock. And if you can see down just the edge over here, you got some of the patina back again. So it's all been stripped off, so the point is there's no way to date it, to actually get a real date. It's just kind of estimates that people have. There's spelling mistakes in here, and why that I find is so interesting is one scholar, when he was asked about it, said, hey, would this prove that it's a hoax, this stone is fake, or would it prove that this writing is real? And he said actually it would prove that the writing was kind of real, because a forger, they go out of their way to make it look so legitimate, like make the writing, the text look so good, the spelling to be correct, and that's not what we have here. So that kind of rules out a forger, at least on one degree. The stone writing, like I said, is about 2,000 to 3,000 years old according to some people. And I found that really interesting because the time of Solomon was roughly 900 BC, so 2,000 to 3,000 years ago. And we know that he was so rich and everything in his kingdom. And I want to read you a verse. I'm just going to grab my Bible here. It is 1 Kings chapter 10, verse 22. And it reads, "For the king, being Solomon, had at sea a navy of Tarshish with the navy of Hiram. Once in 3 years came the navy to Tarshish, bringing gold and silver, ivory and apes, and peacocks." Now obviously apes didn't come from North America, but what would take 3 years on some voyage to bring all these great riches? And I want to go one more verse. "So King Solomon exceeded all the kings of the earth for riches and for wisdom." And he was blessed by God, we know that. That's why he was so rich. But where did those riches come from? Did they come from the Mideast? Did they come from there? Or did they come from the United States, where we know this country has been immensely blessed by God? The natural resources of this country, is it possible that they came here? Another geologist had pointed out that actually an ancient river existed just over the way, and that would have came off of the Rio Grande. So they would have been able to actually come up through the Gulf of Mexico and come up into this part here and see, travel up by ship basically and get here much easier than it is today. It's just pretty much desert all as you look around, some mountains blended in. But I found it interesting. Is it true? Did ancient Hebrews come here and write the inscription on the stone? I don't know, but it's inspiring, and it's interesting enough to actually make the trip up here and come check it out. So we brought the family out and did this and decided just to shoot a video for you guys as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and thank you for watching.